So growing up, I didn't even know what beef was.
It's just straight venison.
It was straight venison.
If we can get more people to do a little bit, then that end result will be greater than if you can get a few people to do all of it.
I'm not going to be the leader, the servant leader that I want to be tomorrow. It's a process of getting there.
Right. I think that the number one way to go down the good path is to not lose what makes us human and to ground ourselves back into nature on a regular basis. So, how was your first cold plunge?
Interesting to say the least. And right now my body feels like it's still trying to like get back to normal. Like I'll feel the air from the fan over here and it's like, whew. Yeah. Like, and I started to itch just a little bit as I think as my body started to warm back up. And at the very beginning, when I got in, I mean, it did every bit of take the breath away from me. And so, but I think I'm going to end up buying one. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. I mean, it was fun. I think last time I came over and we did this, I was like yawning the whole time. And it was just around the same time. It woke me right up, even though I wasn't really that tired, but sitting down and just kind of hanging out after you work out hard and everything else and then doing something like that. Because I probably won't do it in the morning. Right. I get started too early. So I won't do it in the morning, but I'll do it as I calm down after I work out and stuff like that. I think that'll be my best bet. Because even though it does wake you up, I think it's going to do the opposite in the afternoon. Not that it's going to make you tired, but it's not going to wake you up enough like it would in the morning. If that makes any sense. It just makes you feel like your body just kind of got calm, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to start playing around with, I've been listening a lot to Andrew Huberman, and he talks about all kinds of like morning routines and shit like that. And they were talking about how short cold exposure before a workout will like boost your performance and everything. So I'm going to start trying to do basically 1 minute in the cold plunge, then go do my workout in my garage and everything.
There you go.
And then after the full workout, do my 10 minutes to like, cool everything down, get all that great and, inflammatory control and everything.
Yeah, what is that? What kind of acid is that builds up in your body?
The lactic acid.
Yeah. See, I mean, because like I was telling you earlier, I got bad ankles. So, I mean, I'm hoping, my ankle already feels better now than it did before when I got in. And it was swole up a little bit and stuff like that. And I got to go play football tomorrow. So, right now, we started the day off with a cold plunge, which I'd never done before. And it was amazing. And, now I'm already thinking about spending money on a cold plunge. And, then, you and I talked about going, like, we haven't done it in a little bit, which we need to get back to, but going and meeting once a month and kind of just talking about life. And, we saw each other on the same path, especially after going to the river together. Yeah. Okay, that sounds a little weird when you just
with other people. With other people, there's other people there.
But going there, fishing, hunting, doing manly things, and just kind of hanging out and being with nature. And then and then I think you got me into, because now we went out and bought glass.
Hell yeah!
So we went out and bought glass. We don't use the plastic as much, and I've told Jessica to stop buying the plastic, and she still buys some of it, but we've taken the little steps to go to glass rather than plastic and recycling. And now I will say this: I've gotten away from the water bottles. I still use my hydro mug or whatever that thing is. Yeah, that thing. So I still use that, but outside that's the only real plastic thing that I ever drink out of. So, which I should probably change over, because every time I wash it, I'm just afraid I'm going to drop it if it's anything. Right. Well, I guess I could buy something steel, which I do have a steel. Yeah, I do have stainless steel mug, so I could probably change over to that. But, just the things that we've broken down, even over the last year, not even. Yeah. So last 6 months maybe, and just trying to change and be better. And, I want to get back out to the river. And instead of staying at the houseboat, just go get in my boat, and we'll just go down river somewhere. and just clean a spot out and,
Yep.
and stay there for set up 2 tents,
Yeah.
set up a little.
I'll have my hammock out there.
Yeah. So yeah. I got a couple of hammocks. So you just gonna have to show me how to set it up the Nick Canziani way.
So I have an extra underquilt that'll keep you warm overnight.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I mean,
right now we wouldn't need it whatsoever. That tent would be absolutely unbearable.
Yeah.
It would be unbearable. So, I mean, get out there. I wonder if that's something you and I can do maybe over the summer.
Absolutely.
Because especially we got, we both have bug nets.
Yeah.
So get that because, you know, the bugs are going to be terrible.
Yeah.
So, but if we can do something like that, set up a tarp and get out there and start camping just for a long weekend or something like that.
Fuck yeah.
And then, but don't bring any food.
Ooh, just fish and hunt.
Fish and hunt.
Dude, I'm down. You know I'm down.
The only problem
I can fast for 5 days.
the only problem would be in the summertime is obviously not like any kind of hunting season.
Oh,
so we'd be limited there, but
for hogs, right? Hogs all year round.
So they are.
Good luck though.
But it's management area over there. So if you're in the management area, they do shut it down in certain parts of the year.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
nice.
And plus you kind of have to be careful when you eat hogs there in the summertime.
Oh, whatever though. I mean, fine. So we'll fish.
Yeah. So we'll fish a little bit and
I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm fucking down. I mean, it's only a few days at a time. So whatever. I'll eat fish for 3-4 days.
Yeah. I mean, I've
I'm from Venice, motherfucker.
Yeah. Like I've eaten more fish for breakfast than most people have eaten fish in their life. So, I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, we eat fish for breakfast all the time. Not at my house now.
Well, yeah.
But when I was living with my parents, we did. Jessica, if I said, I'm making fish, she'd be like, it's 8. Like, it's 8 a.m. What are we eating fish for?
Dude, that's what I love about Japanese.
Said, I'm eating fish. Yeah. I didn't say you were eating fish.
Japanese breakfast was great for that.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like these runny eggs with white rice and then like smoked fish of different kind or like whatever. Like I don't even remember. I don't know what it was because I don't speak Japanese.
Right.
But wherever we were, like it was just, there's a lot of seafood in that breakfast.
It's good.
It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, so we got to plan that out.
Yeah.
Just me and you.
Yeah. But like you were saying though, about, you know, not, you know, going completely off of plastics or not going all the way with this. I don't think that matters because the way I see it, I'm going to kind of neutralize the problems, let's say, in my house as much as possible, right? I'm going to drink the best water I can drink in my house because that's the water that I drink 90% of the time. Right. The food is as disconnected from plastic as can be, or at the very least, no plastic that gets heated, right? So nothing that's left outside in the sun, nothing that goes in the microwave. In fact, I try to use the microwave as little as possible, especially when it comes to plastics, you know. And then even when we buy stuff that's wrapped in plastic, like, okay, if it was just fresh, like certain, you know, certain vegetables will come like shrink wrapped in plastic, like that's all right. I mean, well, shrink wrap is probably worse because it gets heated to shrink.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. But you know what I mean? Like just generally, if we just minimize as much as possible, then that'll give you the room, the wiggle room to, you know, like when you go out to, you know, dinner with some friends and you're at this random restaurant and you got the plastic water cup and your plastic straw, like, okay, well, I've at least minimized my exposure to it so much that this is going to be so minimal that it won't even affect me nearly as much. And I think that's something, that's a goal that I want to kind of try to get people to focus on a little bit more. I heard on, I'm pretty sure it was a Joe Rogan podcast. He was talking to someone that was trying to, I think it was like a vegan or something like that. And they're trying to or maybe just vegetarian or whatever, you know, whatever.
They're both weird, whatever. Just kidding.
No, but like they made a great point. They said, you know, the problem they were trying to solve is the issues that come with factory farming, right? Or factory farm, or not just factory farming, but you know, mass, you know, cattle and all this stuff, whatever. Like ton of terrible stuff. Okay, well, it's really fucking hard to convince any meat eater to say no more fucking meat, right? You're gonna get what 0.5% of the population that'll get on board with okay, no more meat. But then they were saying like, okay, how much of an impact could we have on the environmental factors if we just get everyone to commit like, hey, can you like do 3 meals a week with no meat? I think that's a reasonable thing. And you could probably get half of the population with enough traction. You could probably get half of the population to go 3 meals less a week without, bacon and fucking whatever that you name it, right? Like you could probably pull that off. Now, how much more of an impact is going to be 3 less meals a week for 50% of the populations compared to 0 meat all day, every day for 0.5%? I think the impact is bigger if you just take the more reasonable route and say like, hey man, maybe don't have a steak every day of the week.
Right. Yeah. Maybe 1 steak dinner on a Saturday.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, maybe go hunt for your own meat once in a while. I'm not saying you got to be like, Joe Hick Hunter every fucking day, you're doing whatever the fuck, or like your dad, that just lives in the fucking,
I was going to say Gene.
I was like, hang on a second. I have a great example here. Your father, you don't have to live in the woods and just always hunt for everything. But you can take a page from his book and say, hey, maybe once in a while, you get with a friend of yours who is a hunter and you say, you know what? I'm going to get me a deer and that's going to feed my family the protein that we need for a few months.
So my parents, growing up, I didn't even know what beef was.
It's just straight venison.
It was straight venison the entire time. And I'm going to be honest here, didn't even know that it was called venison.
It's just deer.
It was deer. Yeah. That's what it was. They'd be like, oh, you're eating venison. And I'm like, nope. Don't know what that is. What is that? Something you get up north? I mean, no, from down here, we call it beef.
You having poultry? No, having chicken.
Yeah, exactly. No. So, so I didn't even know what beef was. We never had it. Right. Ever. Until I moved out when I was 18. And I was like, what the hell? How do I even get this? Like, what? How do I find it? I don't see ground deer anywhere. Like, all I see is ground beef. What is this? Right. Obviously, I knew that beef was steak and all of this. But when we went to, we made lasagna, we made spaghetti, we made all these different, meals, meatloaf, all deer meat. It was all deer. Man,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was all deer. And, now, my dad will go out and he'll hunt and try to shoot, however many deer it takes for them to have deer all winter throughout the throughout the rest of the winter, and then all summer long until the next hunting season. So by the end of it, his freezer is full as could be right now.
Right.
And then he'll ask some of the people in our family, hey, do you want a deer? Do you want to go in halves? Do you want this? So they can have deer meat as well. So it all depends on how
at least some sausage.
Works.
There's always the excess of sausage with all the spare meat.
So, but now he's doing a lot of, it's just all ground, which obviously throw a little bit of ground beef into the deer because if
you need a little more fat.
You need a little bit of that fat. So, but I'm with you. The only problem is this. And maybe this is just more of conspiracy theories than anything.
Okay.
But, you sit there, not you, but vegetarians and vegans and stuff like that talk about, what it would take to calm that kind of stuff down. The problem is that even vegetables right now.
Yeah.
The things that you have to kill to keep the vegetables, they're killing deer every single day.
Yeah.
Thousands of them.
Yeah.
Even. So they're killing hogs. They're killing all these things just to keep them away from the crops so that we can eat.
Yeah.
So that we can eat vegetables. And then honestly, all these vegetables have pesticides on them because they have to, or they're going to get eaten. The crops are going to get eaten by pests. So really, there's really nothing that's out there that's really that healthy.
Right.
That you're supposed to really be consuming for sure.
Yeah. And because I think, the ideal place that we end up in, in the utopia that I would envision is that we eat off the land that we live on more.
Sure.
Not entirely. We'll never hit that mark of we only eat what's grown within,
your half acre,
20 miles. That's all you get. This neighbor, he's got the eggs and this guy's got the vegetables. And
I'm trying to get Jessica to let me have some chickens. I want chickens.
Man, that'd be so
great. Want chicken, even though I have a lawn. I have zoysia grass and they would absolutely destroy it. I'm like, listen, we have neighbors that have chickens that will fly over into our yard. And I
keep them.
I will. I sat there, I walked outside and I saw it and I went, you know what? The next time, and I said this out loud, Jessica was behind me. I wasn't really talking. I was talking to her, but I was talking loud enough so that anybody could hear me. The next time this
you were talking.
Yeah, 100%. And the next time this chicken comes over, I'm keeping it. This chicken is now going to be mine. I mean, in that neighborhood, even though I live right next to people, I don't have any, I mean, we're not on like a huge lot or whatever, or farm or anything like that, but we have had turkeys.
Oh, wow.
We have had, I mean, plenty of cats, obviously. It's a neighborhood, but chickens, I mean, just rabbits everywhere. I could live off of the things that I could kill right in my neighborhood that are just wandering around. And it's just a normal neighborhood. I'm like, you walk outside and let the dog out and it's chasing a chicken and it's chasing a turkey and it's perched up on my boat. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Am I in the sticks?
Yeah. Maybe. And I'll say this as well, because, you know, people go to, you know, here locally, like Gandy's and food marts and fresh seafood markets and stuff like that. Yep. And which is great. But typically a lot of that stuff is caught through nets. Yeah. And it's all basically farmed. I mean, kind of, you can look at it any kind of way you want to, but it's all people running nets behind their boat and then catching them. They're not really like, it's not a sport. Right. I mean, they're just doing, and I'm not saying that you should only eat through sport and killing things yourself. I'm not saying that, but you know, there's something, my freezer right now is full of fish, full of fish. Yeah. And because I like to fish. Right. And I like to think that if we ran out of money or something like that, that I couldn't buy anything, it's
protein's taken care of.
Exactly. It's nice to know that I can go out and fish and go catch. But there's also something about when you go out and you catch a snapper or you catch a redfish or trout or bass or whatever you're going after, catfish really. When you're sitting down and it's on your plate and you're eating it, there's something about it. Yeah. Well, how do you feel when you walk to the store and buy a steak?
Yeah, it's not the same.
No. Like you're like, ooh, I get to have steak tonight. Yeah. But to me, I was like, I had to put gas in my boat. I had to put gas in my car. I had to drive my boat out there, put it in the water, find the spot, and I had to work for that.
Yeah. Dude, the some of my favorite meals ever was we go out, spearfish, which is even better, right? Because you're like, you're not hoping for a hook. Right. You know, you're like,
it's even better. Yeah.
I'm that guy.
You legitimately,
I'm going to eat you.
You get into their environment. Yeah. You get into their environment and then kill them off of being in. I mean, that's just the reason I enjoy bow hunting more than I enjoy gun. Yeah. Because bow, I mean, they have to get in within 30, 40 yards of you. Yeah. I mean, that's
a good shot.
Yeah. And that's still at a distance. It's a good shot. And you got to pick the spot. You know, we're not allowed to bait. Right. So you don't throw corn out or anything like that. So you got to track, you got to look at their trails, you got to get, and then you get up there and you get at the top of a stand and you're waiting. And most days you don't see shit. Yep. You don't see anything. Yep. Jessica goes, you getting something? And I'm like, damn it, woman, you know I didn't get anything. Yep.
Now think about the reward of breath hold spearfishing. Oh. When you're going down, 30, 40 feet and you're just sitting. Because when you first get down there, everything's scared. And it takes a good 30 seconds to a minute before things are like, okay, what's going on over here? It's kind of calm now. So you literally just go down, if you know your little honey pot, Right. And you just, all right. And now you're just holding. You got a couple of minutes.
Right.
If you're good, which, you can work yourself up. Like I was able to get, stay down for a good 3 minutes. Right. With good practice.
Right now, I would probably get about 35 seconds.
I don't know, man.
But at 30 or 40 feet, I mean, I don't even know if my ears can handle it right now.
Well, I mean, you equalize on your way down. And what's actually good is when you go deeper, the compression of the air takes that stress out of your chest. Because when you take a deep breath, it's a lot of tension holding in all that air. But as soon as you get compressed, right, when you go down 30 feet, that's one atmosphere. So that's literally compressing the gas half the size. I see. Okay. So you go down there and all of a sudden this feels like this. I can kind of relax a little bit. Okay. I got time. Yeah. I got time. Yeah. All right. I'm feeling all right. And then you trust your fins anyway. Because as soon as you get oh shit. Okay. But you're just waiting. And then you find that one that gets a little curious.
Yep.
I'm going to eat you tonight.
Yep.
And then, we come back and again,
all excited. I mean, I'm over here like,
first of all, super excited.
Let's go to the jetties and do that outside the jetties.
Yeah. And then you come back, right? And you clean the fish on the spot.
Yep.
Someone's got the grill going.
Yep.
You crack yourself a beer while you're cleaning the fish or whatever. And you throw that shit on there with some salt and pepper, a little olive oil. And that's it. And it's the most delicious thing you've ever had. And it's that reward of like, man, I caught this motherfucker. And now we're eating it.
Yep.
And they're enjoying it and they're enjoying it and I'm enjoying it. You just like grill up some veggies to go with it or something like that. Dude, we used to do that in San Diego with lobster. We had a lobster spot. Oh my God. Now we would sometimes, on rare occasions, send somebody out like, hey, go get a couple steaks.
Yeah.
We're doing surf and turf.
Surfing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you didn't kill the cow.
Didn't kill the cow. I didn't hunt down the cow. Which, by the way, where the fuck? Would be easy. Where are the cows? The wild cows?
I don't think they're.
Like, where do they live?
I don't think they exist anymore.
Where would you go to hunt a cow?
For real?
Because you would just pretty much walk up, right? Like
I've talked to Jessica about that before. Yeah, I've talked to Jessica about that before because we went to Scotland and we were on a tour and he was talking about like how the cows there, obviously they come by a different name or whatever, but they were huge, hairy coos. But but they,
how do you say cow in Scottish?
Yeah, coo. It's a coo, hairy coos.
Oh God.
But they talked about how they were so much bigger. Like the cows were huge. Like when natives were there and stuff like they were massive cows. And then they got extinct because of I mean, people, really. Yeah. I mean, and they're not dumb, but they're just a cow. I mean, they don't have a way of really defending themselves. Yeah. But we've talked about that before. Like there used to be wild cows.
Yeah.
A wild cow just walking around and just eating grass, and you're just like, I can't even fathom what that would look like.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Nature.
Yeah. I think that's where we need to go, though, man. Like, I think that's part of kind of touch back on like we were talking about before with the whole, you don't have to go to the extreme, right? To make a significant impact, and not just an impact on the environment or the world around you, but just even on yourself. For example, we talked about before how like I genuinely feel like the wellness industry has a terrible marketing problem, right? Because the average person, like you and me, or I consider us pretty average fucking dudes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're oftentimes, not that we're put off like directly, but it just doesn't interest us necessarily to like hear about like from someone who's like a super hippie, and is like all about like natural everything and blah, blah, blah. We're like, it just, the way that they approach it, the way that it's marketed is not palatable to your average person
or who lives super rich
or the super rich. Right. Exactly. Which honestly, I don't even want to take them into consideration because that's such a freaking tiny minority of the population that it's like, you're not even.
Well, and I'm not even talking about just like super rich, but just even people that are in upper class, really
rich enough to not care.
Right. I mean, ones that can, really spend a lot of money on all organic foods and this and that and all this. I mean, not everybody has that.
Right.
So,
but to take it back, right? Like, for example, meditation, right? Now, luckily we're getting a lot more like scientific data on like the great benefits of meditating and all that. But you don't have to go down the path of like being this meditative guru or like go be a freaking yogi and like do all like, but take a page.
Right.
And like, hey man, maybe once a week, you just sit in silence with your thoughts for a while. You don't have to call it meditation if you don't want to, but just, hey man, collect yourself, like be introspective for a while.
Right.
Everybody in this planet can benefit from that. You don't have to dress in all hemp and like have dreadlocks and smell like weed all day to be like, hey man, this is probably pretty good for you. In the same way that plastic, like, hey, you don't have to eliminate all of the plastic you ever touch or see or smell or whatever, but hey, just limit it. Just cut back on a little bit.
Yeah. Cause I would say that what people always tend to forget is that everything that you do, if you're bettering yourself or just living life in general and just wanting to do something different, it's all a transformation.
Right.
It's all a process.
Yeah.
And, you know, right now, like I go to the gym. I'm not the type of person that can go to the gym 3 days a week and just say that I'm going to the gym.
Right.
Now, and that's not to say that other people can't and everything else, because I get into that process where I'm like, okay, I got to hit the gym 7 days a week. I've got to do this. I got it. Now, if I miss, I mean, that sucks. So I shoot for 7. Typically I get like 6 because things happen and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but I would say that the transformation is what people forget, that it's, you don't come through your house and clean out everything plastic. It would legitimately be impossible.
Yeah.
This here would not be possible because half of that computer is made out of plastic.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
90% of that computer is made out of plastic.
Right.
The screens, TVs, everything is made out of plastic. So there's no way to get rid of everything that's going to be that. There's no way of getting rid of anything that has chemicals in it, because everything has, even if you want to go pure organic, they have pesticides on them. It does not matter. Like, you're not going to be able to get rid of all of that, but you can make take actions through those processes and join the transformation into bettering yourself.
And just prioritize, just set your priorities, you know, like, okay, plastic water bottle, that's an easy switch.
Yep.
Right. Plastic Tupperware. Hey man, for some people, it's not affordable to get rid of all your plastic Rubbermaid Tupperware and replace it with glass Tupperware. Understandable. Okay. But
really, the prices aren't really that.
It's not that bad, really, and they last longer. Yeah, and you can make. But you know, I'm saying, you know, there's certain people
that can't afford it. Sure.
Exactly. You know, like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everybody can just up and change all the shit. You know, like even like,
I mean, I still have. We didn't throw away hardly any of the plastic,
right?
But now, which if you were to look into our refrigerator, the first thing we use is glass.
Right.
So if we have something that's glass, that's clean, we rarely ever use the plastic ones now. We still have them just in case, because you never really know and all that. But, you know, I get into moods where I want to throw stuff away, and me and Jessica go back and forth all the time. And I'll walk through the house and I'll be like, listen, we got to do something. I mean, we're buying too much crap. I want to start throwing stuff away. And so at some point she's going to come home and there's going to be a trash can full of plastic Tupperware. I guarantee it. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to have that transitionary period where like you hang on to it because, you know, it's convenient to have and everything. But then once you spend a few months or whatever, like, hey man, these have been sitting, we haven't even touched them because we now have enough glassware to cover us or whatever. Or even like, you know, you want to get away from Teflon coated pans and stuff like that, right? Like most people, I highly recommend get off of Teflon pans, learn how to cook on stainless. It's actually really simple. You can actually cook better tasting food on them too. And it's just learning technique, but you don't have to go out and just, okay, I'm going to throw away all my Teflon stuff and I'm going to buy like all clad, like $1,000 pot and pan set. Like, no, but you know, hey, what's the one pan that you use the most often? Maybe it's that 10-inch regular skillet. Like, okay, replace one.
Right.
And then over time.
See, we started moving things to cast iron.
Oh yeah.
So we went to cast iron on a couple of different things. I went to Sam's and they had a set in Sam's that it's coated. It's enamel coated on the bottom.
Yeah.
But that. I mean, I don't think that's a big deal because you're not cooking with the bottom. So it doesn't, and it's enamel.
Enamel coat. Yeah.
It's not even that
we have like the liquor set.
Yeah.
A couple of those pans are
right. And those are all Dutch enamel coated as well. So
exactly.
So we use those a lot. Like, I mean, we used to never be that, but now it's funny because I'll wipe it out and, you know, kind of clean it up a little bit. And now it's like, I mean, you almost feel gross at the very beginning because you don't clean it with soap.
Right.
You just kind of wipe it out. And now I don't even clean it with water.
Right.
Like I just
wipe it
because I cook with a lot of butter. So I'll throw a bunch of butter in there and then the butter will sit there if you left it overnight or whatever. And then all I do is turn the heat back on, let it heat that butter right back up. And I start wiping it out with paper towels and it's done. Yeah. It's ready to go for the next time.
Butter's fine anyway. We keep butter out on the counter like for weeks.
Right. I mean, I could honestly take that, heat it back up and use it again.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even matter.
No, especially once you get it past a certain temperature too. Like if you're worried about any kind of bacteria, well, you can. There's ways around that. You can
get
kill
that,
it.
and I use gas as well. Like so, gas will get me. I'll get that thing up to about 500, 600 degrees in a heartbeat.
Get that thing smoking.
Yeah. So, but that's it. It is a transformation, and it's something that we're at a much lower level than you guys are. I mean, but it's still just baby steps.
But that's the thing. Like everyone worth the damn always gives great advice about the whole, like, don't compare yourself to other people where they are. Like compare yourself to where you are compared to yourself yesterday. Right. That's a big Jordan Peterson thing. Right.
Yep.
Like, okay, same thing. Like, hey man, a few months ago, like I wasn't where the fuck we are now. Like we're making these small incremental changes on this path to feeling better and just, having less of an impact on the environment too. And also just like trying to spread the message to more people. I mean, if like, I feel good about you guys doing that. Cause I feel like I didn't introduce you to it, but like it was an encouragement.
It was a little shove.
Did I shove you?
No, but it was, I think.
Hey, asshole.
Yeah. I think that I have the personality where if you come up with a good point, I'm going to take that good point.
Sure.
And, once you brought it up, I was like, I told Jessica, I was like, I mean, it's not going to hurt us to go to glass. I mean, it doesn't do anything. It was about time to get some new Tupperware anyway. And it was like, it doesn't really hurt us to go to glass. And, we were the type that would buy probably 6 cases of bottles of water every week. I mean, I went through water like crazy because when you're at the gym, you're doing this, you're doing that. And, I was stupid for not refilling them. I would some, but I would always end up taking 2, 3 bottles with me. And anything I did, I was drinking a crap ton of it. Every time I went to fishing or anything like that, I'm drinking a whole case of water. Yeah. So, it was different things like that. But especially when you're out there by yourself for 5-6 days, you can really go through some water. Oh yeah. And some whiskey. But I think that we sat down and we kind of talked about it, and it was like, I mean, it's not going to hurt. Right. Like, what exactly could it have done negatively? Now, are we ever going to feel like the impacts of going from plastic Tupperware to glass? Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, not where I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. Yeah. But when you throw that glass in there instead of plastic, and that plastic is being cooked. Yeah. Next with your food. Yeah. Every single day as you're shoveling rice out of it into your mouth or whatever, because I eat chicken and rice every single day. So I'm pushing that into my mouth every day. And then now it's glass, and it doesn't make you feel like you're, adding to the problem. Yeah, I would say. No, I think one of the hardest things to get people on board with is things that with delayed gratification, right? Like, cause that's really what all this is, right? Right. It's way more convenient to just buy the cheap plastic thing or whatever, and just use that and whatever, buy the cases of water and just keep doing that. Okay. Granted. Yes, you're right. And if you switch, you're right. You're not going to feel any difference. Right. But you are lowering your chances of like getting cancer down the road or like dementia. Like there's all kinds of things that are tied to, prolonged exposures to different things, whether it's, radio waves or it's plastics or whatever the hell it is, as we're here, like surrounded by and stuff like that. But nothing's on our lap. Yeah, exactly. Nothing around the boys. Yeah. But things like that, it's like, okay, well, what does it take? What does it take really to improve your odds later on? Sure. And I feel like most people, and I've been on this boat too, you hear people telling, well, that's bad for you later. Everyone's been young and dumb and be like, yeah, I'll worry about that later. Right. Turns out you can't really worry about that later when the damage is already done. Right. You're doing it currently. Exactly. Yeah. So that's, I'm trying to like, be a part of that message. Sure. And try to maybe reframe it in a way that is more palatable to the average person, because I can say this to a hippie and they'll be like, yeah, duh. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well then I'm not going to keep talking about it in the same language that you would with someone who's already on that level. So that's why, like, when we had our conversations about it, like, I'm Gary Vee-ing this shit. Like, I'm just going to talk to you the way I talk. And like, hey man, I like the idea of living longer.
Like it's not a big fucking, not a novel idea here.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I got kids, like I want to see them. I want to see like what's going to happen with their lives. Like that's
Sure.
really interesting to me for obvious fucking reasons.
Right.
So I kind of want to be around for it, So then you start looking at, okay, well, what can I do reasonably to change my everyday behavior that can help that goal?
Sure.
And to be honest, it's not that much. Like you're saying, like it's not going to hurt you to switch from plastic to glass on your Tupperware or whatever. Like, and that's one example of so many different things.
Just like
you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Like for anyone possibly listening, like I'm not saying you got to go out and do the glass thing. Like there's so many different things you can do. Like for example, people disagree all the time on like, okay, well, the radiation from phones and 5G and whatever. Like, okay, maybe not. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a biologist. I don't know anything about it. But would it hurt to carry this somewhere other than in my right pocket, as close to my skin and body as I do, right? So right now I've been using a fucking I've been using a fanny pack, and I keep it in there. It's a little bit more distance, but then I started thinking, okay, well, they make fabric that is a shield to radio frequencies, right? It's like a complete like block out shield. It's a fabric. It's a very, very pliable thing. I'm like, well, what would it take to just like sew that into the inside part of my pocket, right? Or the back side of my fanny pack,
right?
Whatever it is to just shield it. Like, what would it take to do that? Hardly any effort. And then if it were to become like something that people actually cared about, like you could start seeing.
Could you make it into a sleeve that you could put your phone
They
into?
sell them as sleeves.
Oh, okay. So I think that'd be a better idea.
It's great. Yeah. But then
Especially
the thing is,
no way you're going to be able to get into every
so
pocket.
the problem with the sleeve is that if you put it in a fully enclosed sleeve, you won't receive anything either.
Oh.
So, yeah. So it blocks it that well. Like you won't even get a phone call. So that's why I'm saying like one side, just the side that protects yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, that's what I want to kind of like focus on and kind of spread the word on is like, hey, here's some things that you can do for either for free or for very cheap. Like the cold showers. That's free, man. Everybody and their mother has a cold setting on their shower.
Yeah.
And hey,
while you're waiting for it to get warm. just go ahead and jump in there.
It's actually better to do it after the hot shower, but
because your body temperature is up, and
because you want to end it with cold.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, but just generally like, hey, if just that the whole principle, if we can get more people to do a little bit, then that end result will be greater than if you can get a few people to do all of it.
All of it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Kind of the Walmart approach, like we're not going to, we're not trying to, sell all the best stuff, but we're going to market to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is going to be able to come into the store.
Yeah. So, and I think that it's also, like you said, the health, wellness, fitness, all of that does have a marketing issue. But I think it's also the problem that the people that are buying into it the most, the ones that are actually going the full-fledged hippie, the full-fledged like
gym
rat that's wearing tank tops and spaghetti string tank tops to the gym and, recording men looking in their general direction or whatever you want to do. Yeah. Like the people taking it, the full transformation from the get-go is putting other people off, which I think is a lot of people's problem with religion as well.
Yeah.
Like you have these people who consider themselves huge Christians, but then all they do is judge other people for the things that they're doing. And even in your own religion, it says to not judge folks. Right. So I think that's what puts people off a lot of the times. It's not really like, it's almost like you get this, well, there is no discussion. Like where you and I sat down, I think we sat there for like 3 hours and had like a 3-hour discussion about this outside of a local cafe here. And just, it wasn't like you were shaming me for not doing it already. It was more like, I mean, you didn't even care if I even tried it. I mean, it was a 3-hour conversation of you and I going back and forth and just kind of talking about everything. And then I don't think you even thought I was going to do anything with it.
I didn't. I had zero expectation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I want to approach this whole thing. Like if I could have it my way, there would be a sort of movement culturally of like, hey, like I'm just going to have this conversation.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I've been trying these things and it's been making my life better. Take it or leave it. And just having a conversation about it. I'm not judging you on how you're living your life. You're not judging me on mine. But hey, this stuff's been working for me. Like these cold showers, they worked for me. And now I jumped up into the cold plunge. Right. You know, like whatever. Waking up at the same time every day, 7 days a week, that's helped me. Just help me start that routine, you know.
And, you go to bed at the same time as well?
No.
Oh, you just wake up at the same time?
I want to, but I can't. It's just so impossible. 4 kids, you know, like life is just life. Right. But at least if I can start my day at the same time every day, like that's my marker.
What is it? What time?
Right now it's 6, but I'm bumping it earlier and earlier. Okay. But I don't want to eat into too much of my sleep time because we're pretty much in bed by like 9.
Yeah. I'm in bed by 8.
Yeah.
But it all depends. Like, I mean, mine's 8 because of how early I get started. So like, you know, last night I was falling asleep on the couch by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Cause you know, the weekends I typically, try to stay up a little later with Jessica and everything. But the, waking up is different. Like my job doesn't even give me that option.
Right.
I mean, I guess I could just start early as hell every single day. I mean, it would be like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. every single day. And I don't really know if I really want to do that, especially because not getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is not healthy for you at all. Dude, so you're talking about me legitimately working until, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock at night and, you know, working 12 to 14 hours a day. And then coming home, trying to get a workout in, and then legitimately just going to sleep after dinner, having 30 minutes a week, 30 minutes a day with my wife. And that's not going to be healthy for a relationship. I mean, I'm afraid of cancer at 60, but I'm also afraid of my wife murdering me in my sleep at 31. So, you know, especially if I don't ever, or leaving.
Right.
I mean, you know, so I think that's a big deal as well. So you try to get 8 hours. I normally sit around 7, 6 sometimes. I mean, and then there's days that I get 2.
Yeah.
You know, last night I went to bed at 1 a.m. and got woken up from a work phone call at 3 a.m. and then kept waking up after that because once you wake me up once, I'm kind of up. And so I was up at 4 and up at 5 and up at 6 and up at 7 and hit the gym. So,
but that falls right in line with what I was saying, right? With the same thing with like, okay, I'm going to limit my plastic exposure at home because that way when I go out, I'm not so concerned about getting a little bit of plastic exposure out there, right? Okay, same thing with sleep. Like I'm going to try my best to get 8 hours of sleep every day of the week. That way for those onesie twosie days or like, you know, we're celebrating this thing on Friday and we're going to be out until 2 a.m. Like, okay, fine. I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep that day because my ass is going to be up at 6 a.m. no matter what. Right. You know, and hopefully, you know, I'm going to start probably like 5:30 is going to be a really good mark for me to kind of get my routine where I want it. But either way, like,
especially if you can do the plunge before 6 and have do all of that and have it all knocked out before 6 a.m. Yeah,
exactly. My whole goal is like wake up at 5:30, like do my regular like bathroom routine, right? Brush my teeth, everything, blah, blah, and then like immediately just jump into that cold plunge for a minute, go do my workout right away. After the workout, go sit in that plunge for another 10. And then like my day is like on hyperdrive now. Like I have all the energy, I have clarity because now I've not only gotten out I've pumped myself full of endorphins from like getting that good pump in or whatever kind of exercise I'm doing, if it's a run or a lift or whatever it is. Then I got to meditate in the cold plunge for 10 minutes. Like, what a way to start the day, right? I've sat down. The other thing too is Christine and I, we have tea every single morning. Okay. Right? We sit outside and we get some early sunlight, you know, direct sunlight first thing in the morning. Well, you know, around 7 or so. So like by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, like I'm on autopilot now. Like everything's clicking. My mind is right. I got clarity. My body I feel good because I did something for me.
Right.
You know, that's another big thing too, right? Like take care of yourself first. Get that out of the way.
See,
you know, now for you, I know it doesn't work because you can't.
Mine's opposite.
See,
mine's all opposite. And I've got to do a better job of, you know, I leave my phone on all the time. And because, you know, I'm getting phone calls. I mean, you see me going down on it a couple of times already. Yeah. But, you know,
I'm going to ask you to stop.
Yeah. I do a bad job of, and Jessica yells at me all the time about it. I'm on this whole thing. Everybody's going to think my wife's like an asshole. I mean,
she's really nice.
She's really not that bad. I mean, but she's, you know, she'll yell at me because I'll say like, gosh, man, these people just ruined my workout. Cause you know, it's hard to get out of that mode, kind of get back, take a work call as you're sitting in the gym. And then, you know, no matter what time you're there, they're always calling you or whatever. And then it's hard to get back into that. And especially if you have to, I mean, there's been days where I've taken like 5, 6, 7 work calls at the gym and you're only there for a certain amount of time. By that time, you might as well just pack up and leave because you didn't get nothing done anyway. So, you know, she keeps telling me like the business isn't going to burn down in an hour. Like put your phone away and then call everybody back when they're done. And I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong. So I've got to do a better job about that. I brought it with me today at the gym this morning and I didn't actually have a call or anything like that, but starting on Monday, I'm going to try to put it in my bag, step away from it for an hour, go get a workout in, work on myself. Because, you know, now I'm in leadership courses. I'm in a small group that we kind of sit around and talk about different kinds of leadership. I'm in a coaching program called Ezra. That is, I have a coach that is dedicated for me that we're kind of talking and you know, we got about 45 minutes a week and we just kind of talk about different things about what's going on and different ways of thinking and just stuff like that. You know, I have a hard time relinquishing control. So, and as a leader, that's not a good thing because you're not going to be able to run the entire business by yourself.
Delegation is the key.
Right. Yeah. But to me, it wasn't necessarily controlling every aspect. It was more along the lines of, I want to make sure that other people's lanes are cleared.
Right.
I don't want them to feel that they can't get their job done because of something that I have put as a barrier in front of them. So I'm moving those barriers, but all it does is put more on me. And the difference is I'm not afraid of it. I'll work 16, 18, 20 hours a day. It doesn't matter to me. But the problem is are they getting better? Because that's the big thing as a leader. Like, are they getting better every day based on the things that you're giving them? And right now I would have to say, no, I'm working on that. And now I'm changing and I've that's been brought to my attention. And now I'm backpedaling, kind of going, okay, well, I thought I was kind of removing barriers, but really I'm just stunting growth.
Right.
You know, the way that I got to the position that I'm in is because nobody pulled those barriers out. Right. So who had to work? I had to hurdle them.
Right.
I had to put the work in, but that made me be the person I am. Now, every person's different, you know, so there may be people that I still do need to pull those barriers out and do those things because they don't feel the future is going to be leading them into that certain role. Sure. But it's one of those things that I just, once you start to lead into that and start to realize, I mean, maybe these things are things that you could change. And it's all, like I said before, it's a process. It's a transformation. I'm not going to be the leader, the servant leader that I want to be tomorrow. It's a process of getting there. Right. So if you're not working on yourself, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not trying to get yourself into better shape, or and I'm not saying going to the gym, but like doing something that's healthy, walking, doing something that's, and then making a mindful choice of when you're looking through the grocery store and instead of grabbing a pack of Oreos, you grab, or not even Oreos, not even like snacks like that, but grabbing, you know, Cheez-Its that are less fat. Just making that little thing, or, you know, or baked chips rather than fried chips, or what it's something like along those lines of getting chips that are less fattening or less this, or, and instead of when you get to the register and you got your kids with you and they all want candy bars, just saying no and giving them an apple or something along those lines of making them make those decisions on, no, we're not doing that. This is what we do. Cause later in life, that's going to be a heck of a lot easier to come over, get past if they understand, like, no, we eat apples for snacks here. Dude. Just like your kids, they're eating mangoes.
Yeah.
I mean,
let me tell you something, dude. Oh, how much time we got? Not much.
10.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal some of your water here.
Go for it. Yeah.
You said, I don't want to. You're not going to drink as much of this water. It's really good for you. But I mean, it tastes so good. I'm going to drink a lot of this water.
So, man. All right. I won't dive into it, but no, I like what you're saying. And it's very, like what you're saying about trying to allow for your subordinates to teach themselves the things that you've taught yourself over time and everything. That's very much on the same page of the problem that a lot of people have in parenting, and everybody's guilty of it. You spend a lot of effort trying to give your kids the life that you never had, and like not have the problems that you had growing up and all that you forget along the way to give them those lessons that you learned.
The reason you're in the position you are is because you struggled.
Exactly.
Or because your parents struggled.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Jessica and I had disagreed when we were younger, because we've been together since I was 18 and she was 19, and it was the same way. Like, she grew up, not that they were rich or anything like that, but they grew up, they had money, that she was taken care of and everything else. Not that I wasn't, but we didn't grow up with all that. We had ramen noodle nights. I mean, that's all we had, and it wasn't by choice. That was legitimately it. And there was 4 of us, and we had 2 packs of ramen noodles. Yep. But I remember those. And that's exactly why Jessica said she just texted me a little bit ago talking about luggage. And I'm the type, we have luggage. Like, we don't need any more luggage. But she found a good deal.
Right.
Some of our luggage is starting to fall apart, but me, I'm like, no. Right. I'm like, I think she did buy it because I didn't say no, obviously, but she's, there was a difference there.
Right.
Like that, money was, but she doesn't know where to, at the beginning, she didn't know where to go, because she didn't have to worry about those things. Right. I was worried about the future. I was worried that I was going to be 65 years old and have, like, retirement. What is that?
Right.
So my goal is to retire at 55.
Right.
And I'm going to put the work in and make sure that we have the money put back to where we can retire at 55 years old. Now, if I want to work at 60, okay.
Sure.
But I want that to be a choice, not a necessity. But I would never be in that position if I did not know and didn't remember the struggles that my parents went through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if you were to do the old adage about, the fair weather never made a good sailor, it's totally true. Like, if you were renting a sailboat, and you had a captain, you had to pick your captains, and you had the guy that's never had, like, he just learned in the bay, and he's always sailed in the bay, and he's good to go. And then, when storm rolls in, he just docks the boat and never goes out. Like, you want that guy, or you want that old crusty dude that's been through some shit and he's freaking taken the storm head on and survived, to tell the tale. Like, I'll take that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because
10 times out of 10.
He's going to be just as good when it's not when you're not running into that weather.
Yeah.
He may be a little crustier, like you said, but I mean, he's going to be good when you're not running into the weather. But when you run into some shit, that's when you want somebody who's experienced. And, I think that right now, the leadership part has been, like, something that's been a huge part of my life right now. It's and I think you and I have talked about it, like the change that I've seen in myself over the last year and a half to 2 years has been drastic. Yeah. Like, cause I've really embodied that full-fledged. Like, I mean, and what's funny, it was something that somebody said to me at one point. I was perfectly content being who I was. I'm never going to move. I'm never going to do that. I'm just going to ride this thing out. This is who I am. I don't care, blah, blah, blah.
You're not moving.
Yeah. And we sit there, and then they come for a visit and tell me, like, oh, you're going to be in this next position, like, within a year. And I'm like, man, I got a lot to work on before I, like, quadruple my business. Yeah. I've got a lot of stuff I need to work on before that happens. And so I started to think about different ways of, I already have all these relationships, so I'm about to join 40 other people that I don't have the relationship with. So I need to be able to better myself and control situations and control my temper, because my temper was always the thing that put me down. Yeah. So, once and I'm not saying I have it under control all the way now, but
better.
Oh, yeah. Considerably.
Yeah. No, I can see it.
Yeah. Like, considerably.
Day to day.
Yeah. I don't get mad like I used to. I mean, if you cut me off in traffic, I may throw my hand up, but I used to yell at folks.
That I have not gotten under control at all. Like Christine says it all the time. Like since December, since that trip to the river, I've made a lot of transformations.
Not that
I've been so patient. I've been the most patient parent I've ever fucking been.
Yep. Cut
me off.
And it's funny because you gathered that, you went to the river, you brought Massimo, and it was the trip before that really, or no, it was that trip. That trip.
Yeah.
So, but my dad has a different kinds of parenting style.
Yeah.
And you see my dad react with my nephew.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly favorable. I mean, not that it was bad or anything. It was just, nothing like that. But it was just more strict. I'll say it like that. Yeah. And then you gather that you get patience out of it. I mean, down there, you get patience and stuff like that. But every time I go down there, and, I've been down there by myself, and I just started reading books. Mm-hmm. Like there's something about lonesome that is, and not forever. That's not what I'm getting at. No. Like just especially going and finding something that you love, which is being outside. Obviously, you and I have that in common. And I sat outside on that porch on that houseboat and just. I hadn't read a book in forever, dude. Right, yeah. No, I've read some leadership books and some different things like that, but nothing. And I've read some military books and different things like that, just because things that interest me. Those are the books that I read, but nothing quite like that. And never that many pages in less than 4 days. Right. I had never really finished a book like that. Yeah. Because I was just so invested and intrigued, and but there was something about reading 3-4 chapters, sitting there, drinking a couple of glasses of whiskey and just kind of, oh, hang on, I'm going to have to go back one more page and reread that, because I was enjoying that whiskey just a little too much. Yeah. But, it's one of those that you just you just sit out there and you just watch the water move, and you just, like, you almost feel so small. Yeah. Like as of right now, we're talking about the impact that we're having on the world, and how you can make things different by making simple decisions just to kind of track it just into a little bit different, just a little bit different. Yep. And that doesn't matter if you believe in global warming or climate change. It doesn't matter. If you can make things just a little different, just a little bit, especially if you have kids or if you have a family or whatever. If like you said, you can kill your own food, or you can go get your own fish, or you can do this, do that, maybe eat a little less meat, only vegetables sometimes, stuff like that, just to make everything just a little bit more sustainable, really, for yourself, if anything, or your immediate family, not even like, oh, the future generations. Who gives a shit about them? I'm talking about, like, you can make those changes in your life now and feel them at 40. So, but you go down there and you find those things that you love, and there's something about being in a place that you could take one step off and drown, or be like halfway down the river because the current is running so fast, and the woods, sleeping outside, and sleeping in that hammock, and just hearing leaves crunching, because those leaves are big down there. It sounds like somebody's walking, but nobody's walking, and they're just falling out of the trees. But it's just something about it that just makes you feel so small. Yeah. And then you start to realize, like, what? This is what I'm trying to protect. Right. So that my kid gets to see this, or my nephew, because right now I don't have kids, but my nephew can see this. When I'm my dad's age, and let's say I don't have kids, hopefully I do. Hopefully me and Jessica have a kid. But when I'm my dad's age and my nephew Michael is in my position at 30, walking around with me, maybe with a kid or something like that. That's the things that you're like, I want to be able to share that with him, like, or a kid that Jessica and I have. And it's,
Sure.
You just feel, when you're sitting there, you just feel so small.
Yeah.
You've seen a million sunrises and sunsets. You've seen a million of them. I mean, every single day, you just, whatever.
Not literally.
Yeah, I know. But you see them all the time. And, Jessica will send me pictures of sunrises or sunsets. Jessica ain't seeing a sunrise. But I see them both, because I'm up so early. Yeah. So seeing a sunrise to me is way better. A sunrise is so nice compared to a sunset. Now you'll get some good sunsets if you got the right clouds and stuff like that. But a sunrise, I mean, there ain't nothing like the sun in the morning, like you said, out there at 7 o'clock. That sun feels different. It looks different. Everything's shining. You don't even have to squint. Everything is just.
I mean, just the symbolism of it.
Yeah.
Like it's the start of a day.
Yeah. So
this is how we're going to begin.
Exactly. But. You sit out there and it's no different than what you would get here.
Right.
But then when you're in nature and you're away from this huge house and you're away from horns honking and you're away from you're away from other people.
Yeah.
And you just feel alone.
And I think there's something to be said about the fact that, humans are such social creatures, right? And it's by design, or not by evolutionary necessity, right? Because you stick a bunch of humans out in the wild, in the real wild, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
Especially your average human.
Your average human being is completely fucked in the wild. So like the only way that we were able to survive as long as we have is because we had to work together. Mm-hmm. So by necessity, we became social creatures.
Right.
And with that came everything else, with the different, hierarchies of status and everything else. Right. So when you remove yourself from that and put yourself in this lonesome state, like there's people that, like Christine is, she's more of a loner. Like she's perfectly happy being alone.
Right.
But even the loner has their limits.
Oh yeah.
You can't be alone forever.
Right.
Literally, like you will go insane. I mean, one of the cruelest type of punishments you can do to someone is solitary confinement. Because it's like torture.
Yep.
To be alone in the darkness for an extended period of time. Now, a short period can be life-changingly good. 3 hours with, all sensory deprivation, completely alone. Like that could be a mind-altering, like revealing experience.
Especially as you start, because it gives you things to think about.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking about things that you would normally, because most people are like this the whole time. I mean, I've already looked at my phone a million times already,
Yeah, asshole.
I know, I'm sorry. But, but once you get out there and you turn your phone off, or you go somewhere that has no phone service whatsoever, which is the case there pretty much. Mm-hmm. So you sit down and you don't have that. And now you have to just enjoy it all by yourself. And, I can see where at a long period of time, you're going to end up going nuts.
Yeah.
But at that time, I was calling Jessica. When I was down there for that whole week, I was calling Jessica like with just out of this world questions. Not that I was trying to like change, like, oh, gravity. Wow. Yeah. It wasn't Neil Tyson, whatever his name is, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah. So I wasn't doing that kind of stuff, but what I was doing was just coming up with ideas of different ways that her and I should be living.
Right.
It was stuff like, I was like, listen, I want to do this more. I want to come out here. I want to have, she's always wanting to go overseas, which is great. It's fun. We always have a blast. We're going on our 11th trip in 2 weeks. So,
awesome.
So, that stuff is all fun, but there's something about that small trip just to the river.
Yeah.
To somewhere, not even the river, just somewhere, or a river. Yeah. Any kind of body of water.
Because in nature with no man-made structures.
Exactly. And it's just something about, because I think it's all, we went to it's called Cherry Log, Georgia. And we went there for my birthday one year, and it snowed a little bit. It was awesome. It was up in the top of the mountains. It was fantastic, man. And I was fly fishing. Didn't catch a damn thing.
Doesn't matter.
But the water was so high because the snow had really melted and come down a lot. So the water was flowing.
Nice.
Flowing. But I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the morning, and I walked outside, and it was, 8 degrees, 12 degrees, 12 degrees. And I was out there fly fishing. And as I'm fly fishing, the ice from the water is forming around my eyes on my fly rod. So I'm having to break off the ice as I'm trying to fly fish. You only get a few casts, and then you're breaking the ice off. But there's something about as you sit there and you watch it and your brain's just going wild, you're just kind of casting away. I did get 2 bites, by the way, and I didn't get completely skunked, but it was a hard place because there was a bunch of trees everywhere and to fly fish.
So many excuses.
I know. I did see a fish. I saw him. He was right next to the bank.
What an
and
angler.
fell off. Yeah. Oh yeah. But if we had to eat out there, I was done. I was screwed. But we there was something about watching that water rush so fast, and then there were rocks under there that I never even saw because the water was so high. And then a couple of days in, the water came down some, and all of a sudden you can see these rocks. But when you're down there and you're by yourself and there's nobody around, and she was down there, but she wasn't really fishing with me. She was up in the cabin, but you start to just think like it's just little things that you start to see that you're just you almost feel like the rock,
right? Like
sometimes shit gets tough, everything's over your head. But how do you react? Do you break apart? Or do you just hold firm and then shit's going to come back down? It always does. So, you start to think about things like that. You start to think, well, I mean, what if we had something like this? Like, what do I need to do to change in my life to save a little money to buy something like this, to be able to enjoy this as much as we want? And you and I have had that discussion, trying to buy a piece of property somewhere and go in on it together and just hang out. And I mean, you and I feel like you and I could get there even though we haven't stopped talking for 2.5 hours, but I feel like you and I could go somewhere and legitimately have the best trip without even saying a word to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Just with looks, like, yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, it is. Man.
Or like just minimal word, like steaks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. It's
hell yeah.
But we got to plan that trip. We
Yeah.
got to go back.
Yeah. I think that's the, my number one focus, that if I were to have one singular message to give to people that I think would help the most out of everything else, it's not the plastic, it's not the water, it's not the food, it's not everything. We're losing grasp of what makes us human. Everyone is. I did it. Mm-hmm. You do it. Everybody does it. And technology, especially now with AI, robotics, energy, all this stuff, it's going to take over. Mm-hmm. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And we can, there's a fork in the road right now. We can either go down like, hey, this stuff can help us achieve utopia, or we can end up like the fat bastards on Wall-E. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Where they're just stuck on that chair, like, feed me, straw. We can go there, or we can go to utopia. So like, right. I think that the number one way to go down the good path is to not lose what makes us human and to ground ourselves back into nature on a regular basis. I'm not saying throw away your phone, throw away your computer, go live in a hut.
Obviously, we don't want you to do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, on a regular basis, and it's going to depend on the person, how often that is for you, whether it's once a week, once a month, once a year, disconnect completely and just reground yourself. Because with that rock analogy, what if I was like the rock? No, here's the thing. You are the rock.
Exactly.
You are the rock. You are this desk. Mm-hmm. You are this house. You are that tree. You are that pig that you shot.
Yeah.
We all are all of these
Took
things,
that one
right?
to heart, didn't you?
It's pretty rough, man.
Yeah.
But like we're like, as
she had plenty of other babies. Unless she was one of the ones that dad shot. Yeah. All right, let's end this episode. No, I'm just
on that note, But no, and and that's the thing. It's a very hippy dippy message, but we really are like we're all a part of this one floating rock, and there's really so little that separates us from everything else, from that leaf on that tree to that that rock in that river. Like there's really so little different. Like we're all in the same place here. We're all going to end up in the dirt, and something else is going to grow out of it. Like it really is that kind of interconnectivity. So we have to find that intentionally more often. More people do. There's plenty of people that do already. You're great at it, right? You have a place, you have a sanctuary you can go to and distribute. I don't have like a spot that I can just distribute to on my own like that. So I have to like consciously like.
You got a truck now. You can come pick up the boat.
Hell yeah.
Come grab that boat.
Oh, dude.
I mean, you send me a text. I got keys for it. You go.
It's on record.
Yeah,
it's on record.
You can take it. You're just fixing it if you break it. I mean.
I'm pretty good with boats.
Yeah. Oh, I would hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that can enlighten more people. And just to kind of step back and
even if it's going to the beach.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, everybody has their own sanctuary.
Yeah, because I think the number one thing is that people get wrapped up in modern life because it's alluring and it's convenient and it's all of these things that make it just so satisfying to just like, oh well, I'm gonna just I'm gonna sleep in today and just like, and every time you make one of those convenient decisions, you're losing sight of what is really important and what is really worth experiencing. You know what I mean? Because when you do that, when you do go to the river on your own, you go to the nature on your own, you start to really realize like, you know what? Like this shit's beautiful, man. Like I can literally sit here and stare at this tree and watch these leaves flutter. And that's as entertaining, if not better and more rewarding than watching an hour-long, stream of YouTube videos or whatever it is.
That AI is put in front of you too, because it knows exactly what you enjoy.
Yep.
And it's funny because you brought that up with the leaves and stuff, with like a fire. Some people, that's their bliss. Like take a fire outside. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can have that fire outside. And the thing I like about the river the most is there's no light pollution. So like I'll get on my boat, and I did it a couple of times while I was out there, that I'll get out there and I'll just take off a little bit, get away from the houseboat. Cause I got some lights on the houseboat. There's the houseboat across the river has those like solar powered lights. Yeah. So I'll get away from all of that. And then I'll just turn my boat off and sit there
just drift
and just look up.
Yeah.
That's it. But you'll see we'll start a fire out back up on the hill, and then you look up and watch all the energy coming from the fire and all, coming through, and it's moving all the leaves up top. Yep. And then you just take a look up and you see all the stars and everything else. And it's those are the things that just makes you feel so small.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, it's always made it, am I really here to be this person who sells or does this or does that? Is that really what you're here for?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, even if you're a religious person or not, I mean, you don't really know what you're here for until you find it. And to me, I think that I don't know what job I'm supposed to do. I don't know if it's the job I'm currently in. I think I'm pretty decent at it. I think, I want to be a better leader. I want people to look up to me and be able to me show them the way to becoming a better person and stuff like that. But I think, just enjoying nature and buying that piece of property in Montana.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And being that person that I just want to go and look. That's it. Everybody makes fun of me because I made one. Obviously, I've said some words here, even on this podcast, wrong. But I accidentally said I like birds, but I said buds. Buds. I like buds, and it just came out that way. I don't know. Tongue got in the way. I don't know. But over the last 5 years or so, birds have been like huge in my life. Like I just, anytime I see a bird, like I'll almost pull over to just watch, like not like a vulture or anything like that, but like any kind of hawk, and because you see vultures everywhere and all they're doing is circling, they're just looking for food, whatever. But like my favorite bird is a crow.
Okay.
And the main reason is because I feel like they sit on the sides of roads and just talk shit to cars. That's the main reason I like crows.
So deep.
Yeah. I mean, they're in the middle of the road, then they jump to the other side, and they look like they get pissed at you for driving down the road, and they're just talking shit. That's what I think a crow is doing. I mean, if it's doing anything else, I'm kind of upset, and I don't want anybody to tell me. So I just think they talk shit to cars. Because like I used to do when I was a kid. Like you just sit there and just... But, you know, birds are just...
I thought something profound was coming out of this crow analogy here.
Nope, not even a little bit. Just talking shit. That's it. Obviously, I have this is a raven. Yeah. It's a raven. It's not a crow. It's a raven. Is it a
three-eyed raven?
Yeah. But no, I think the biggest thing is just finding your bliss, finding whatever it is, and that's the hardest part too. You know, it's not just that easy, and it may change.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Like even just with this, like I feel like what really calls to me often is just this right here, conversations.
Right.
I love talking to people. I love talking, but I also like listening and just absorbing as much experience as I can. You know what I mean? Because like I can only live my one life, so you know I'm limited. You know, I have one lifetime to live, but if I absorb your experience through your conversations, or, you know, when you read a book, that's what you're doing. Like when you read someone's book, whether it's their biography or maybe just whatever wisdom that they're trying to, like they took the time to write it in a book, right? You're literally gaining experience that you could have never had with your own limited lifetime. Right. So that's what I want to gain. I want to talk to as many people as I can. I want to learn as much as I can. And I want to hopefully spread a decent enough message that can manifest itself into a going down
footprint.
Yeah. Going down that better path.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like it. Well,
I think that's a great way to end.
I think so too. I think so too.
Well, thanks so much for coming. Thanks for being my first guest.
Always.
This is hopefully going to be awesome, and I hope that you will be a very common guest.
100%. Awesome. Yes. I don't live that far. So yes, for now.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.